Family Fights with Kyle Harrison and Matthew Blumenthal. Boom, there's your intro. How'd I do?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Family Fights podcast. I am Kyle Harrison. With me, as always, is my little cousin, Matthew Blumenthal.
What is up, everyone?
And we're here to talk some fights.
Yes, sir.
How was your weekend, Matthew? What'd you do for the fights? I know you don't usually get to watch the whole card, but I know you got to. So.
Dude, this is the third weekend in a row that I got to watch the entire card. It was a great night. I mean, I fell asleep in the morning from about 11 a.m. right up until when the card started. Basically, so my entire day was fights. I had that. We watched the NBA All-Star competition for about 10 minutes because the NBA sucks. And then watched some bare-knuckle boxing. And then watched The Color of Money, which was a great movie. How was your weekend?
Nice. Yeah, pretty much just watched the fights. Took a trip to the butcher shop. Got some meat for the week. But yeah, speaking of bare-knuckle, I saw Mike Perry and Chad Mendes both got the wins. I missed the fights, but what do you got? You got anything to say about them?
Yeah, I'd never watched a bare knuckle event before this, but this one was pretty good. It was impressive. Chad Mendes, looks absolutely gigantic. He's at 155er now. He looked faster than I've ever seen him, which is odd for gaining that much weight. He looked so fast. And I'm going to be honest, there's probably a little bit of it probably looked that way because his opponent wasn't Jose Aldo. It wasn't, any UFC guy, but still, he obliterated this guy. And the guy had a chin, too. I mean, Mendes knocked him down 4 or 5 times, but he was crisp. There were some moments where it looked like he could have brought a little more technique to the table, but he did make great in-fight adjustments. And never for a moment was Chad Mendes in any danger. So that was great to see. He still has 3 fights left on his UFC deal, so I would love to see Chad back in the UFC. I don't think he'd ever get a title shot, but maybe see a few fights would be really cool. And then Mike Perry beats Lane, the Let Me Bang guy, and that was a banger. They definitely were. They were leaking blood from middle of round 1, and then our boy Mike Perry ended up coming out with a win, but it was a great fight overall.
Hell yeah. Love to see those UFC vets doing well in bare knuckle. Anyways, that's all we got for current events. Not too much has gone on over the weekend since we last spoke, but a hell of a lot has gone on in UFC Vegas 48.
Yes, sir.
Super exciting card. Pretty good main card. Let's get started with the main event. Jamahal Hill takes out Johnny Walker emphatically in the first round.
Dude.
3 minutes in. Man, sweet dreams, Jamahal Hill's the real deal. I told you all. We both told you all. Boxing like nobody else. And sneaky power. He looked way smaller than Johnny Walker.
It ain't sneaky anymore.
It ain't sneaky anymore, but it is sneaky because it comes out of nowhere. I mean, this is so similar to the Crute knockout that when it happened live, I barely saw the punch land. It didn't look like a punch that landed flush. But it
landed right on the temple, and if you get hit hard in the temple, you are going straight to sleep. But Nick Sick on Twitter made a good point. He didn't think that Johnny Walker acknowledged the stance switch from Hill just before.
I was gonna say that. He did an excellent job of, and I think he even said this right in his post-fight interview with Felder, that he realized that his southpaw strikes weren't reaching, so he made the adjustment mid-round to regular, and man, just obliterated him so easily. I love fighters that are able to make that decision. We talked about his fight IQ.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Johnny Walker looked good when Hill was in southpaw. I mean, he had that, like Hill said, he had that kick timed. He was landing, not completely flush, but he was definitely starting to land. And then great in-fight adjustment to create what Kyle and I were texting about earlier. It's probably the most memeable knockout since McGregor got knocked out in the second fight.
The level of memes that are coming out of this knockout already, and it's only been less than 12 hours, is so funny.
Dude, the ones that it's the Toy Story toys when the mom walks into the room.
My favorite one is the one that put him right next to the big, like, wiggly guy from outside the car wash.
Or
that flops around in the wind.
You see the picture of him when his head hit the cage? And Joe Rogan interviewing him? That was funny.
That's a good one. But yeah, feel bad for Johnny Walker. Super happy for Jamahal Hill. As I talked about in the last episode, he's absolutely my favorite light heavyweight fighter. One of the OGs for sure. And it was cool seeing him get to enjoy that moment with his son.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel bad for Johnny Walker as well because he used to be so good, and he still has the potential to be that.
Yeah, I think he still has potential to be a great entertainer. Maybe not a top 5 contender, but he'll definitely be an entertainer that brings eyes to the sport and brings in some money when he's on the card.
Yeah, I texted you this yesterday. I think he needs to take a year or two off. I mean, he's 1-4.
And find a new camp, obviously.
Yeah, he's 1-4 in his last 5. He's not what he used to be. I think if he takes a year or two off, really gets within himself, finds a new camp, he could be really good. But did you see the John Kavanaugh when he was making his "I'm okay" video?
Yeah, John Kavanaugh was just in the back holding up a bottle.
Did you see the picture or the video?
I just saw the picture.
The video was so funny. Johnny Walker is like, I sleep and fight, something went wrong. And and fucking John Kavanaugh sees the camera and just goes like this. And then just plugs the Irish whiskey. And it just made John Kavanaugh a joke even to me.
Is he like a partner in the company?
Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
No, but I think he just realizes that without Conor McGregor, he's absolute shit in this world.
Nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
And he probably gets it for free.
Probably, I'd imagine. Moving on to the co-main event. Kyle Daukus submits Jamie Pickett with less than a second left in the first round. This is probably one of the craziest submissions I've ever seen. How frustrating is that for Jamie Pickett? And we were texting about this during the fight, that we don't think it's his fault necessarily. I don't think it's his fault.
I don't either.
I think it's on the corner.
I think it's partly.
The fact that we didn't hear the corner yelling how much time was left and also yelling don't tap or just counting down from 5 seconds, like, that is so crucial for a fighter.
Yeah,
but I also don't blame Jamie because I know what it's like to be stuck in a choke, and when you're stuck in a choke, the last thing you're thinking about is how much time is left on the clock.
Remember when we were sparring once and you locked in a rear naked choke like 6 seconds left and I just waited it out? That was one of the scarier things I've ever done.
Yeah, it's really scary. And me and Matthew were going at about 50% in that sparring session. When you're going at 100% and you're thinking about defending yourself and you're thinking about not dying and not going to sleep, I guarantee you one of the last things on your mind is how much time is left. If he even got a glimpse of the clock before they went to the ground,
right?
Which you can't even be certain that he did. So I don't blame Jamie. Chances are if he didn't tap, Herb Dean would have separated them and he would have been asleep on the ground anyways. So the fight probably would have been over.
Yeah, a few things. One, it's just a fight IQ thing and I'm not blaming Pickett. I think he could have tried to find a clock. I mean, I remember, like Kyle said, we were only sparring at like 50%, but every time Kyle takes me to the ground, I check the clock and I'll even count down in my head from 30 if I see a 30. But did you see what Pickett said of the reason he tapped? Mm-mm. He said his tongue was stuck in between his teeth and it felt like he was about to bite off his tongue.
I would have tapped too.
Yeah, I would have tapped too. Once I heard that, I was like, no issue with the tap. I would much rather lose a fight than lose a tongue.
Yeah, 100%. Damn, no heat on Jamie Pickett for that, but great for Kyle Daukus. I thought it was a fantastic performance from Kyle Daukus.
Yeah, he looked really good.
He was super patient with that choke. He didn't force it. He waited till he knew he had it, and then he went to finish it, and just in the nick of time. Really impressive.
Yeah, and total props to Pickett for taking that fight on 1 week's notice as well.
True dat. Going down the line, Parker Porter defeated Alan Baudot by unanimous decision. No surprises here. Baudot, I touted as the worst fighter in the UFC, and I think he showed us why. I think that was his third straight loss in the UFC. So
yeah, I mean,
where does he go from here? Probably gets cut, I'd imagine. Probably.
I think I pulled a Kyle here, where I made the right reads on the fighters and then just picked the wrong guy. Because it did seem that Baudot had the speed advantage, but I underestimated his ability to actually land and not get pinned against a fence, which what he did. So Parker
In
Porter.
all his other fights, he gets pinned against the fence constantly.
Yeah, so I made a Kyle mistake there and a Matthew mistake of assuming a fighter's going to change when he proves that he can't. But Parker Porter did a really good job of understanding that he is not going to win a speed battle, and he knows exactly how he needs to win his fights, and he does a great job of making sure that the fight takes place where he wants it to take place.
Yep. Moving on, we have the vet Jim Miller taking out Nikolas Motta by second round knockout. So happy for Jim Miller. I'm happy we went with the veteran.
You did.
And the dog. I did. You picked against him.
I did. I picked Motta.
Yeah, he was my bet. He was my best bet, my straight pick. Hope you guys trailed that. If you did, cash some nice dog money. But yeah, everything I thought would happen happened. The debut was too much for Nikolas Motta. He just looked out of his league compared to Jim Miller. I'm really surprised they made this fight.
Yeah, Motta looks shell-shocked.
In hindsight, it was like it's not a good matchup.
Yeah, Motta looks shell-shocked to be in there, and especially against Jim Miller. And Jim Miller, goddamn, did he look phenomenal. He has not lost a step. I mean, he's 39 fights, and come on, he still looks like that? That's incredible. He looked really good. He was in complete control of that fight. I expected, when I was thinking about every possible outcome for this fight, the one I saw most, if Jim Miller were to win, was for Motta to have some definite shining moments, and then Jim Miller just barely edge him out for a win. But I was wrong there. I mean, Motta got completely dominated. I don't think he's a bad fighter. I think it could honestly just be one of those times where you just don't have a good day. I mean, we know it. Some days we walk into the gym and it just doesn't click for us. And unfortunately, that was during his UFC debut.
Yep. All right. Last fight on the main card, we had Joaquin Buckley defeating Razak Alhassan by split decision. And yeah, I'm not going to cry robbery because it was a very close fight, but I did score the fight for Alhassan. Who'd you score this fight for?
I scored it for Buckley.
I gave the first round and the second round to Alhassan.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what rounds I gave. Obviously, it had to be first two for Buckley and last one for Alhassan. But Buckley looked good. I think I made the right reads on this fight. I liked how Buckley looked under his new camp. Nixick wasn't in the corner. He had the Detroit guy that was kind of pissed me off because I would love to see the corner video from that fight to see if that guy actually said it or anything, or if he just sat back like the little weasel he is.
I'm sure he didn't.
Yeah, that guy's a fraud.
I'm sure Joaquin's coaches probably sat him down before the fight and were like, look, don't get in our fighter's ear and fuck his head up.
Yeah.
This is a relationship we've had, and we've been working together for however long, and we know how to corner fighters in a professional fight.
Yeah.
I'm sure that conversation happened behind the scenes at some point. Whether Joaquin was involved in the conversation or not, I would venture to say not, but that conversation definitely happened.
Yeah, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall for that, because imagine if they're like, listen, we actually know how to fight, and this guy's like, come on, dude, I know what I'm doing, and we're like, calm down. But no, even my boxing coach texted my boxing team, and he's like, is this real? And I was like, yep, that actually happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I thought Razak Alhassan landed the more significant strikes throughout the fight.
Definitely in the last round.
Definitely in the last round and in the first round, in my opinion. The second round, I think he got taken down and controlled for a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he
did. If I remember correctly.
The Buckley's takedowns were something that no one expected, and they were great. He did a great job of keeping his feet moving, especially when you got two guys of that size. Trying to get stuck in a takedown and just spin into it isn't going to work. So he literally, it didn't even look like a takedown. It looked like a tackle in football. He grabbed him by the hips and ran him until he ran through a cage. And I was honestly nervous at one point that one of those takedowns would go through a cage, because those were two massive fighters. But he did a great job of getting the fight to the ground. I definitely see that adding to his arsenal. I would love to see him develop that to be able to keep fighters on the ground, because like I always say, the most important part of grappling isn't getting them there, it's keeping them there.
Right. All right, that's it for the main card. Now going on to the prelims, also kind of stacked with finishes, especially this next guy, David Onama, takes out Gabriel Benítez 4:30 into the first round. Yeah, wow. I mean, we were all pretty high on David Onama, I think, going into this fight.
And pretty low on Benítez.
And pretty low on Benítez after the beating he took from Billy Quarantillo last time. But yeah, Onama put him to sleep, and that combo he put him to sleep with was gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, there were times in that first round where I thought that Onama was about to be finished.
Me too.
He got hit right in the orbital bone, which is your eye socket.
That also happened in his Mason Jones fight, right?
Yeah, I actually have a bad habit of that as well. As sometimes if a strike comes in and I don't see it, my eye will be open. And if you get hit by even like the glove in the actual eye, you might think it's an eye poke, and it dries your eye out, and it's really hard to see. And it's a really...
I don't think he ever thought it was an eye poke. I think he was just dealing with the fact that he couldn't see.
No, I'm saying for those, like, it feels like an eye poke, and it is very...
But some people might think that when he's rubbing his eye, he's complaining, but he wasn't.
Right.
He clearly wasn't turning to the ref to complain. He was just trying to fix his fucked up eye.
Mm-hmm. And it's very unsettling. I think he's lucky that it was his back eye, I believe, because it's very unsettling to not be able to see out of one eye for a minute or two and have punches coming at you. But he reset really well, and he threw a beautiful flurry at the end of the round to put Benítez out, and that was a vicious knockout. I mean, that Benítez was out cold.
Yeah, what do you think next for Benítez? You think that's it for him, or you think he gets one more fight?
I think he gets another fight because it wasn't complete dominance. He dominated. He won probably 3 minutes of that round.
First half of that round, yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. We got Stephanie Egger taking out Jessica Rose Clark by armbar 3 minutes and 45 seconds into the round. And this was not your typical low-level female MMA armbar. This was a very, very impressive armbar. It was fantastic. I mean, she captured that arm, rolled through the way she put her shin on Jessica Rose Clark's face and pulled her around, flipped her over onto her back, and then she did that classic move, Matthew's favorite move that I taught him, where when you're sitting on top of somebody trying to get that arm free, and they're doing this defense where they hold their hands together so you can't quite break their arm free, all you have to do is lean back and you pull their arms up past their head, and as soon as your shoulder passes your head, you lose all the strength in your arm, and there's no way you can defend it. So you just do a little lean back again, and you got that arm bar perfectly. If you want to go watch it, if you want to go watch the technique I described, just go back and watch Stephanie Egger do it to Jessica Rose Clark. Textbook arm bar. It was beautiful. Super impressive. Jessica Rose Clark tapped super fast. She knew what was going to happen. That arm was going to break, too, if she didn't tap. You could see it.
Yeah, it was impressive. I was playing pool with my dad at that point while I was watching the fight. And I'm sitting on the chair with my iPad watching the fights. And I see the fight go to the ground. And I stand up to take my shot. I'm like, nah, we're chilling here. I don't think that there's going to be... I don't think that Jessica can finish her right now. And she's obviously...
This was a bad read for me because Egger clearly had the strength advantage.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they go to the ground, and I'm like, well, Jessica can't finish her here. I'm going to go take my shot, and I'll come back, and I miss 30 seconds, big look. I take my shot, terrible shot, and all I hear is John and Nick go, and there it is, winner by armbar. And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
An amazing armbar.
And then I walked over, and I see that it wasn't Jessica who won. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I look at my dad, I go, that is not what we expected. And he was like, huh? All right.
Well, Jessica Rose Clark really doesn't have great grappling. She's okay wrestling, but once she gets the fight to the ground, she's no good grappler.
I just thought she was so big, and she's proved that she can hold people down pretty well and beat the crap out of them with hammer fists. So I was surprised. Obviously, bad read. I definitely myself knew that I knew Jessica's name, and I probably might have just overlooked her opponent because of that. And the female MMA, usually if one of them's a decently well-known name, they usually end up winning. So I think I kind of overlooked Edgar, and that was on me.
You're right. I think same thing. All right, moving on. Chaz Skelly coming off the 3-year layoff to impressively knock out Mark Striegl in round 2. That knee was awesome.
Yeah.
And from the first angle they captured it at, you could barely see it happen. It happened so fast, so clean. Mark Striegl I think that was a terribly late stoppage by Keith Peterson.
Yeah, did you see that he took a punch to do it too?
Yeah, he also got heamed himself. But, I mean, the fight should have been stopped as soon as the knee landed. Like, he was out at that point.
Yeah.
He immediately went to the ground and covered up.
No, he didn't cover up. Striegel's arm was stuck under him. And so his arm was, like, pinned on his own back. And then
Really,
he was
I
getting
remember
punched in the
seeing him
face.
just immediately go to the side with at least one arm up like this. And to me, when a fighter turns to his side with his arms up like this, that's a sign that he doesn't want to be there anymore and the fight should be called. And he should not be eating 2-3 more ground strikes.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look good in that fight at all. So he took one really hard unanswered shot and then freed his arm to protect himself. But he really didn't look good. And this was I'm not even going to say it was a bad read for me on Skelly. I think it was a misread because, I mean, everything pointed to Skelly being not like that. Because in his last fight, he didn't look like that. That was
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So that
And
proves...
a 3-year layoff is usually a red flag.
Yeah.
Red flag.
So we had a red flag with his last performance, red flag with 3 years off, and then the classic family fights, red flag of announcing your retirement before the fight. So everything pointed for him to lose, and he beat all odds. And I think he's the first person to ever do a UFC fight just to promote his own roofing business.
Funny. I saw that. Moving on. We got Gloria de Paula defeats Diana Belbiţă by unanimous decision.
No, she didn't.
This one puzzled me. I really scored this fight. I think I scored it 29-28 for Belbiţă, if I remember correctly. That's what I texted you.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah. What did you happen to see what the media scored that?
No, I didn't. Did you?
I'm looking it up right now, but what were your thoughts on the fight while I do that?
I thought it was a pretty mid-level female MMA striking match. I think Dominic Cruz was saying some weird shit in there. But, there's two girls. It was a kickboxing match, let's be honest. There was a few takedowns here and there, but she got right back up, Belbiţă, that is. And I think Belbiţă, I think she definitely won the first 2 rounds, and I was taken aback when the decision came out.
Hold on. Okay, so on MMADecisions.com, the 12 media judges that they have are split. 6 had it for Belbiţă and 6 had it for de Paula.
Really?
That's crazy.
I don't see how anyone scored
So
that
it was
for
a really
DePaula.
I guess it was a really close fight, but the way I watched the fight, Belbiţă totally won that fight on volume. She landed more volume. She had also landed the harder strikes. She stuffed a lot of takedowns.
Yeah. I really don't see how anyone scored that against her.
Well, 3 judges and 6 media members did.
Yeah, well,
5 media members had it 29-28 Belbiţă, 1 had it 30-27 Belbiţă, and 6 had it 29-28 Belbiţă.
Yeah, no, that's blasphemy.
And on verdict, this fight wasn't on verdict because it was a prelim. Damn.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how the world scored that fight.
That's where I always go when I don't know who won a fight. I just go to verdict.
Yeah, I check MMADecisions.com.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Chad Anheliger defeated Jesse Strader by 3rd round knockout. And, man, Jesse Strader was on his way to winning this fight as a big underdog. He had a great first round, which I expected him to have because his cardio is historically not great. So, he's going to come out in the first round swinging. Ripped up the body pretty nice. But Matthew and I said when the fight was going on, we thought this looked like a UFC 4 fight. It just looked really low level. Like, both guys were swinging with their hands low. I thought Chad Anheliger was going to have better wrestling too, and I was really not impressed with him. And I thought his guillotine was one of his best weapons, but when Strader slipped his head out of that guillotine, I was like, ooh, maybe it's not so much his best weapon. But the way I watched this fight, Strader won the first round, Anheliger clearly won the second round, and Strader was doing a great job in the 3rd round. I think he was desperate, and that gave his cardio like a little bit of a second wind. And then he got caught. He got reckless. He got excited. He went in with his hands low and got heamed.
Yeah, I mean, I got a few things to say. Like, yeah, it did look like a UFC 4 fight, and both those guys look like a creative fighter that you would create. I think Strader better be happy because this was the first time he's ever not been the ugliest fighter on the card, and we'll give that to Johnny Walker, but that man is ugly. But to me, it looked like they took videos of both of them hitting the heavy bag and then edited it to make it look like they were hitting each other.
That's so funny.
But in Strader, I have a big rule. You can't tell the ref that you were okay when you fall standing up. Like, he got up after the ref called the fight and stumbled back to the fence and then claimed that he was okay. Yeah, but I think Strader definitely won round number 1. And then Anheliger definitely won round number 2. And then I thought it was a pretty close 3rd round. Slight edge for Strader. But like we always talk about, there's no point in a fight where you can ever ditch your defense. because it doesn't matter how hurt your opponent is, there's always a puncher's chance.
Yep.
And especially when you're two evenly matched fighters. And it wasn't like Anheliger was on the ropes. It wasn't like he was hurt. It wasn't like he was about to get knocked out. Strader went into that exchange like Anheliger was seeing double. Like he was wobbled. And Anheliger said, okay, and just knocked Strader out. I definitely think Anheliger is a better wrestler and a better grappler than he showcased in this fight. I think Strader might be better than people expected on the ground. But that cardio is an issue, and for fuck's sake, please shave that mustache.
Yeah, definitely. They say it in every sport, but especially in fighting. Good defense is just as important, if not more important, than good offense.
Yep.
Moving on, we had Jonathan Pearce defeats Christian Rodriguez by unanimous decision, and what an impressive performance from Jonathan Pearce, at least on the ground. His striking didn't look so hot.
No, he got stunned.
Head movement, not there. His head never moved off the center line, as Matthew likes to say. Footwork, not there. He just constantly came in and threw single strikes, didn't set anything up. He threw lots of blind kicks. You see most guys come in from angles, use their hands to set up kicks, mixing kicks with the hand combos, but it seems like Jonathan Pearce just wants to walk up to you, try to kick you, and walk away. And that's not going to work, especially against a striker like Christian Rodriguez. That being said, I mean, on the ground, he looked like a level above what I've seen in the UFC for a really long time. This dude was flowing like nothing I've seen in a really long time. His grappling IQ is on a different level.
Yeah, Kyle and I were texting during this fight, and it was so impressive, the BJJ. Just going position to position,
side to back to mount to side to
it
mount.
was seamless. It looked like it was choreographed at points.
It seemed like Jonathan Pearce was inside Christian Rodriguez's head, and he knew everywhere Christian Rodriguez was going to try to go.
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. That looks like something if you walked into a gym, you'd see guys in gis doing. And they were able to do it no gi in the middle of a fight while getting punched. It was impressive from both guys, but definitely a great win for him. He's only 29 years old as well.
Yeah,
Pearce,
that is. A bright future at featherweight, because his last couple fights have been at lightweight, and his big loss against Joe Lauzon at lightweight. People like to talk about that, but he's massive for featherweight.
Yeah, he is, and that's always an advantage in some respects. Obviously, he's got to cut a lot of weight, which could give him some issues down the line when he gets older. But as of now, 29 years old, BJJ like that, if he can get that striking down, he's going to be, I'm not going to call him a champion, but he's definitely someone.
Contender.
He'll be in the top 15 for sure.
At one point, I think it was in the second round, he got that like scarf hold behind Rodriguez's back, and then he like used it to flip the position. I'd never seen anything like that. I know the commentators are freaking out about it, but I was on my feet when that happened. Like, I wanted to rewind it and watch it again.
I have seen that. I have felt it. It's my father. My dad is a tremendous wrestler, and he will grab scarf holds from everywhere. He's so good at it. Like, something about my dad is he's very good at wrist control, and while he's taking you down, he'll grab it. In the middle of the air, he'll find your arm and bring it behind you so you have no base. And it's very effective, because if you can't base, you can't protect yourself, you're in a very dangerous spot. And Pearce to do that in the middle of a UFC fight, extremely impressive. But the commentators were terrible. They did not do research.
Oh my God, dude.
If I hear him say pummel one more fucking time.
Paul Felder and Dominic Cruz both, I think, had a pretty bad night on the mic. Paul Felder had some pretty cringy interviews, stumbling on his words. That one point where Stephanie Egger couldn't seem to figure out where the camera was, and he was trying to direct her towards the camera. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
So cringy.
There was
Dominic Cruz, of course. Always mute Dominic Cruz when he comes on the commentary. He's just so dry and says the dumbest shit.
Yeah, I feel like he has like one or two things that he goes to. Like he said pummel 30 million times, like we got it. There was one time, I can't remember who it was, but he was like, oh, I'd love to see him try to make featherweight. Well, hey, Dominic, he does fight at featherweight. This is a one-off that he took to take this fight to make sure it still happened at lightweight. Like he is a featherweight fighter. There was
one point where, I think it was in the very first fight, where he was talking about takedowns, because I think Mario Bautista got taken down at one point in the first round, but he got right back up. And Dominic Cruz was talking about how those takedowns they're still good because they make your opponent think about the threat of the takedown. But he goes, those pay dividends as the fight goes on in the later rounds as they keep going.
Yeah, I mean,
so why don't you just say later in the fight 3 times? You fucking idiot.
He had another moment.
So bad.
The dumbest commentary moment I've ever heard was, I can't remember what fight it was, but they walk out for the second round, and Dominic goes, I would have liked the corner to tell the fighter that it's 1-1 and they need to finish this third round. And Felder just goes, Dom, it's the second round. He thought it was the third round. And
oh my God.
My favorite moment of the night was when Keith Peterson had a stoppage. And you could hear Dominic Cruz like sigh and then go, that was a great stoppage by Keith Peterson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it wasn't a good stoppage. It was a late stoppage. It was the Skelly one. It was a late stoppage.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, Dominic Cruz got stopped by Henry Cejudo in a fight, and he argued that Keith Peterson had a terrible stoppage, so they've been feuding for a while. And that brings me to a point that I've been meaning to make on this podcast forever. Why do people act like Dominic Cruz is some washed fighter that hasn't been good for 5 years and hasn't been in the title picture? He fought for a title in 2020.
Yeah, he just sucks at calling fights.
Yeah, like just because he's a bad commentator doesn't mean that he's a 50-year-old fighter who hasn't done anything in the sport. Everyone acts like he's a veteran.
Fighter. I mean, who did he just beat? Pedro Munoz?
Yeah, in impressive fashion.
A great win over Pedro Munoz.
Yeah.
Anyways, last fight of the night, Mario Bautista defeated Jay Perrin by unanimous decision. Yeah, Mario Bautista looked great. He controlled the fight, had some good striking. Most impressively to me was his clinch work. He was constantly active in the clinch,
oh
which
my
I
God,
love
those
to
elbows.
see. As a Muay Thai fighter myself, I love seeing guys active in the clinch. You talked about being tired of hearing Dominic Cruz talk about pummeling, but it's really true. When you're in the clinch, you have to constantly be swimming your arms in and out and in and out of your opponent's arms to keep yourself in control of their neck. Keep yourself on the inside. The pummel means you have an inside grip on somebody's neck, and when you have an inside grip on somebody's neck, you can control their entire body. You can pull their posture down. You can pull them to the side. And the way you get out of that is by swimming your arms inside the person's grip who has you in the collar tie. So as you do that, as you guys are moving around, you're constantly swimming your arms in and out with your opponent, fighting for that grip on the neck. And as you're swimming, you can land sneaky elbows. As you swim, you can land an up elbow. You can land a side elbow. And a lot of fighters don't think about that because they're so focused on maintaining control. But Bautista did a great job of using his weapons as he maintained control. Threw some knees in there too. And I think that he made it a real dirty fight. Jay Perrin just didn't bring anything to the fight, in my opinion.
He didn't bring anything? Really? I thought for taking a fight on short notice, Perrin looked really good. I mean, he took a fight against a tough opponent. Bautista is a very good fighter on short notice, and he went the distance. And I'm not going to say that he won a round, but each round was close-ish. But those elbows that got landed really busted Perrin up, and they were phenomenal. The shoulder strikes in the clinch, the elbows, that really changed the fight. You could see Perrin's soul. You could see where his mentality switched from, all right, I want to win this fight, to, all right, I'm just going to try to get through this. And it was when that one left elbow landed in the clinch, it really just changed his brain for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, definitely. So that wraps up our reactions to UFC Vegas 48. Overall, some pretty good reads on the card. Did have a few mistakes, but as always, we're constantly improving, getting ready for next week's fights.
Yep.
Got anything else to add about the card?
Nope, I'm ready for matchmaking.
Hell yeah, let's move on to our matchmaking segment. That is where we pick the winner. Matthew and I each pick a winner. Sorry, we each pick the next fight that we want to see for the winners of the main card. That is how it goes.
Yes, there we go, Dominic Cruz.
And then we talk about one wild card pick. It could be a loser from the main card. It could be a winner from the prelims. It could even be a loser for the prelims. Just somebody who is not somebody that we talked about before. Anyways, Let's start with our big winner of the day, Jamahal Hill. I think there's no other answer for Jamahal Hill, and his next fight has to be Dominic Reyes. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely have Reyes as an option because Hill is such a good kickboxer. Like I said it in the breakdowns, and I would like everyone to listen to my breakdown, mine and Kyle's breakdown, and go back and watch the fight. I said that Hill slides back out of low kicks and blocks high kicks with his hands very well, and that's exactly what he did. So if he could fight Reyes, I feel like that has fight of the night potential. Alexander Rakic, if that's how you pronounce it, I really don't give a shit, is an option with Jan Blachowicz still being injured. But another guy who doesn't have a fight booked is Anthony Smith. So if they need a quick opponent, Anthony Smith would be a good option.
I looked at. I just didn't want to give him a top 5 opponent quite yet.
Really?
I don't want him to fight in the top 5 quite yet. I want him to get another win over somebody just ahead of him and then fight him up in the top 5. So that brought me to Dominic Reyes.
Yeah, and Reyes is looking good.
That's a dream matchup. They're both strikers. I think Jamahal Hill can probably definitely get that one done. And also Volkan Ozdemir is an option. But other than that, Thiago Santos is booked. I would not book Jamahal Hill against Magomed Ankalaev. And then you're in the top 5 with Anthony Smith and Alexander Rakic, which would be good fights. I think Anthony Smith probably gets the better of Jamahal Hill.
Really?
Yeah, but if you're looking to have this guy climb the rankings and be a potential star for you, why rush him?
That's true.
Let him,
how old is he?
Let him take out Dominic Reyes. Jamahal Hill is
29, 28?
30.
30. Okay, that's not too old.
Yeah. All right. Next winner co-main event, we got Kyle Daukus. Who do you pick for him?
I had Puna Soriano. I feel like that would be a good fight. This division has a lot of guys already booked, so it was really tough to matchmake for them. I had also had Nick Maximov in the question. He's always looking for a fight, so Maximov or Soriano would be good for Daukus.
Well, I think Kyle Daukus definitely easily wins both of those fights.
Yeah, I do. I don't know.
I had Ian Heinisch as my number 1 pick for him. I have Ian Heinisch ranked a little bit higher than Kyle Daukus right now, and I think Kyle Daukus is ready for a push.
Yeah, because he looks good against Holland as well, who Holland obviously hasn't won in a while, but he's not a fucking pushover.
Exactly. If not Ian Heinisch, my other pick was Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think that would also be a fun matchup. Both guys like to grapple.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Moving on to Parker Porter, the big boy. My pick was Carlos Felipe.
Oh, I like it.
I like Carlos Felipe a lot. He just had a close fight with Andrei Arlovsky, and honestly, with this pick, I'm looking to fade Parker Porter, and I'm looking to get a win for Carlos Felipe. I don't know if that's necessarily the point of this segment, but I don't like Parker Porter very much, and I think this would be a good matchup that favors the young Carlos Felipe and gets him back on his feet after the tough matchup with Andrei Arlovsky.
Yeah, I have Justin Tafa as an option. I think that would be a good fight. Or Jared Vandera, who fought last week as well. He just lost to Arlovsky as well. So both those options. I also don't like Parker Porter. I feel like he's just your bland, average heavyweight who's got a little bit of wrestling. I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he'll ever be ranked or any of that shit.
I agree. Moving on, we have Jim Miller. Who'd you pick for Jim Miller's next fight? Potentially, maybe his last fight. Who knows?
I saw something funny that he should. This wasn't what I chose, but that he should fight Donald Cerrone, and whoever wins get the most wins
and
record.
And they both have to retire after.
Yeah,
just to make it really who gets the record.
Yeah, that would be fun. But my real picks. This is tough. I had Alexander Hernandez as an option.
I looked at him too.
Yeah, I like that. Matt Frivola. Or bearing a win, maybe throw Paddy Pimblett in there. I feel like that would be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I definitely looked at Matt Frivola, and I also looked at Alexander Hernandez.
Yeah.
But I settled on Diego Ferreira. I don't know if he's looking to fight again, but he's coming off with 3 straight losses, a loss to Beneil Dariush, and then 2 knockouts to Gregor Gillespie and Matus Gamrot just recently.
Yeah, and those are 3 very good fighters.
Those are 3 very high-level fighters. Diego Ferreira is 37 years old. Jim Miller, 38. Both relatively still high-ranked lightweights in my opinion, so why not let them duke it out?
Yep.
All right, our last fight on the main card, we have Joaquin Buckley, New Mansa. Yeah, I think he's ready for a little bit of a push. We can put him up against a guy who tests prospects, and that guy is GM3. So I'd like to see Joaquin Buckley take Gerald Mearshart.
That was my number one option.
Is that your number one option?
That was my number one option.
Sweet, we're in agreement. And right under him, I have Chidi and Chikwani.
So are you fucking kidding me? My list is GM3, Chidi and Jokiani, and Julian Marquez.
Great minds think alike. That's funny. Yeah, I think they'd all be great matchups. I think Gerald Mearshart would be a good test for Joaquin Buckley, but Gerald Mearshart probably submits him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be a really good fight. I don't know, because we see this wrestling side of Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, but
Mearshart. No, don't get me wrong. Mearshart is
we still don't
much
know
better
anything about Joaquin Buckley's defensive wrestling, and we don't know how he responds to being pinned down on his back.
Right, and he's so strong, but he's always got that one-shot knockout.
Yeah, and
option.
we also don't know how his cardio is going to respond to somebody with the grappling pressure of GM3, because we all know GM3 does not stop.
Yeah, fucking book it.
But we also know that GM3 can be caught. Look what Hamzat did to him.
Yeah, book it.
Definitely an interesting fight. Book it. All right. Moving on to the wild card. Just tell me who your wild card pick is, but don't tell me who their matchup is.
Mario Bautista.
Okay, we got different picks. You go first.
I had Adrian Yanez in there. I feel like a Yanez versus Bautista fight would be really good, and I feel like if Yanez wins this, which I think he has a good chance to.
Yeah, but
this might be Yanez's last time fighting an unranked guy, and that really propels him.
I was gonna say I don't lie. I think Yanez is ready for more.
Well, I think I feel like Bautista and him would have a good fight, and I feel like this is because Yanez has been touched. He's been hit.
Right.
So I feel like him versus Bautista would really prove to me if Yanez is ready.
Yanez has such a big name at this point already, and people are so high on him. I don't think he'd take this fight. I think he's looking to fight higher up the rankings.
Well, I mean, who it really is up there for him to fight right now? I feel like he's in a very awkward spot.
They need to make the O'Malley-Yanez fight. That's what they should make. I don't see who else is there for Sean to fight right now.
Well, here's the thing. I think if they haven't made that fight already, I don't think that fight's going to be next.
Who do you think O'Malley's going to fight next? We're getting a little off topic, but
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Really quick.
Oh,
no, just off the top of your head. Who do you want to see him fight next? If not,
Pedro Munoz.
Okay, cool. I like it. My wild card pick was the loser of the main event, Johnny Walker, because like I said earlier, I think he still has potential. I think if the UFC is careful with who they match him up with next, they can still preserve his star power a little bit. I don't think he's got potential to be a contender, but I definitely think he has potential to draw eyes to pay-per-views. Like, he could be a good main card opener. Mm-hmm. He could be a good feature prelim, even. Anyways, I think the manager in me wants to be strategic with this and give him somebody that he's definitely going to beat. So I picked Jan Kudalaba out of the light heavyweight division. He's coming off of a pretty impressive win, but I definitely don't think he's got the size or the skills to stand up to Johnny Walker. And if Johnny Walker can take some time off, I think he needs to come back against somebody ranked a little bit lower than him, get a confidence boost. What do you think about that pick?
Yeah, I agree, because confidence is a big part of the game right now. When you see a guy lose 4 straight, let's not lie, Johnny Walker's got some skills in him. Obviously, he has some stuff to work on, but if he can have the confidence of stringing together 1, 2, 3 wins, that might propel him right back to where he used to be. And a lot of the fight game is based off of confidence, and let's be honest, his confidence is probably at rock bottom right now.
Yep, definitely. All right, that does it for this episode of the Family Fights podcast. Matthew, got anything to add?
No, 14 episodes in. I think we love it.
I think this is 13.
It's 14.
Because there was one that you recorded that didn't get uploaded from technical difficulties, remember?
That means this would have been 15, but this is 14.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, whatever.
Yeah, the Buzzsprout has all the answers. That's the service we use to upload the podcast to all the streaming services for you guys. So the Buzzsprout has the answers. Anyways, yep, this has been another episode of the Family Fights podcast. Thank you guys for listening. As always, we love watching the fights and breaking them down for you guys. Have a good week. Happy Monday. Peace.
Yes, sir. Have a great day, everyone. The Family Fights podcast will be releasing every Monday and every Friday. In those episodes, we will look back at the most recent card, give updates and predictions on the UFC and other MMA organizations. If you guys would like to reach out, the Instagram and Twitter is the Family Fights Pod, or you can reach out at familyfightspodcast@gmail.com. Have a great day.
Family fights. Let's do it.